We recently discussed getting on the ship, Embarkation Day. Today, we're getting you off the ship, Disembarkation Day. That's today on the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. Hello and welcome to the DIS Unlimited's DCL Show. I'm Chris Forbeck, one of the agents at Dreams Unlimited Travel. Thanks so much for being here. So we recently did a show giving you everything involved with getting on your Disney ship. It's called Embarkation Day, of course. Well, today, guess what? You also have to get off that ship eventually. And we're going to talk about Disembarkation Day, what goes into it. And just like boarding, there are a lot of moving pieces. Maybe some mixed emotions involved as well, right? Getting to the airport, maybe trains, planes, automobiles, all of it. And you don't have that fun anticipation of looking forward to your cruise. So it can be a little less fun day, but we're going to walk you through all the pieces to make it much easier and more manageable. And joining me to get you through this is Dreams Unlimited travel agent Elaine Edwards. Hello, Elaine.
Hi, friends.
And of course, we have our amazing producer, Jimmy Valdez. Jimmy, how are you?
Great, thank you.
And just to give you a little behind the scenes thing, Jimmy's son was like pounding at his door, wanting to come in and see him as we were getting ready to start. So he's wanting to see Dad. Good to have both of you here, and thank you for being here, of course. We have a lot to talk about, but first, this show, along with everything we do at the DIS Unlimited, DCL Fan, UO Fan, all of it brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We are experts at helping you plan that magical Disney cruise, a visit to a magical Disney theme park, your Universal adventure. Yes, Epic Universe, so cool. Even other cruise lines. There's no additional cost to book with Dreams Unlimited Travel, none. We're going to give you insights about your Disney cruise ship, your Disney destinations, your Disney trip, that trip to Universal. We're going to give you insights so you know what's going on even before you get there. This is what we do. And by booking your cruise with Dreams Unlimited Travel, we'll give you a shipboard credit of up to $1,000, depending on the price of your cruise. And I always hear people say, what? Nothing's for free. This is one of these cases where you get free money to spend on board, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Not bad. Best way to get started, dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And I always add the note of, by way of transparency, yes, Elaine and I are Dreams Unlimited travel agents, and this is our job. In fact, I got an email last week from a viewer saying, how can you be objective if this is your job? And it was very nice, by the way. Well, here's what I always tell folks. Frankly, I don't, and I think Elaine will second this with me. I don't pretend to be objective. I love Disney. I love Disney Cruise Line. So our objectivity doesn't come from that. But this is what we do, and we do it because we really love Disney. We love Disney Cruise Line. We want you to have the best time possible. Our jobs, both here on this podcast and as agents, is to give you information so you can make the best decision for you and your family. And as Disney fans know, and we do this because we're Disney fans, right? We're sometimes more critical of what Disney does, and we're looking for all the thing. So we're watching out for you, and we want you to have the best time you possibly can. So if we hope, as always, yeah, go ahead.
Just to add to that, this is the kind of the philosophy of our entire company. Our owner has sent us regular emails telling us that we need to be 100% honest with our clients when we're on the shows, that kind of thing, even if it's bad. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, we as a company want to make sure that you have all of the knowledge and all of the facts, whether they are positive or negative. And that goes true for all of the shows on this channel. And we really, really hold ourselves to that, especially when we're, paying for it ourselves and that kind of thing. We want to be completely honest because, we don't want our opinion to be swayed by, we work here or we were, gifted a stay or anything like that. Right. Like we 100% above board here. So, which does make us different than some of the other channels that you might watch.
And we're also very upfront. If we are on a trip that we did not pay for, we're going to tell you that because it can have, even unbeknownst, it can influence something. So most of them we pay for ourselves. So anyway, we just want you to have a great time. So we hope you book with Dreams, and regardless, we hope you have an amazing trip. We're going to talk about disembarkation, but Elaine, I wanted to one quick news item before we get to disembarkation, and I know sad horn noise, wah, wah, wah. But there was a little bit of news for folks cruising in one of the Halloween on the High Seas itineraries or the very maritime itineraries. Well, you can now order a package where your stateroom gets decorated. Elaine, did you see these? These are pretty cool, and I have some details that we can go through in a second. But have you had your room all done before and decorated?
So I have never done it before. However, I look at them every time. I have never done a very maritime cruise, but I have done lots of Halloween on the High Seas cruise. And I am all about a theme. Like I'm dressing up I'm dressing up for Patron, separate costumes. Like I am all in. So I look at them every time. However, I am in my era of I don't need any extra stuff. Like I don't need. But I will say this year, the Halloween stuff is really like,
Isn't it? Oh my God,
of
so
it.
cute.
I actually have a graphic design degree, so I'm very critical of design as it is when it comes to like graphics, and I'll be like, I don't like that. So this year though, I really like it. And like they have
Yeah.
a ghost pillow, and it's like, ooh, yeah.
So you can find the story on DCLfan.com, but on the Halloween package, what you get is this very cute printed character blanket, and these are very fuzzy and they're very comforting. Let me tell you. For Halloween, you get the Mickey and Minnie glow in the dark pillow, which is so cool. You get a Mickey glow in the dark jack-o'-lantern drawstring bag, which is also so cool, and you get a hanging banner. And 2 dangling glow-in-the-dark decorations. They're very cool. The package costs $115. For Christmas, the Celebrate the Season package also includes the character blanket. It's, of course, themed to Christmas. You get a Mickey ears pillow that's reversible. It has a different design on each side. A Captain Minnie and a Captain Mickey fabric hanging wreaths, and a nautical holiday banner. But you also get, I don't know if you've seen these plushes that where the character sits right in your shoulder. It has like a magnet right underneath. And it's a Reindeer Pluto shoulder plush. You also get with the package. It is also $115. So as I 1,000% agree with you. They've just updated these and they're very cool. We can help you get those if you want, we'll give you information on how to get it. It's basically at the bottom of your reservation page, and you can just do it there. So with that, let's talk disembarkation, because Elaine, this is, I did the sad horn sound, right? Wah, wah, wah. It's not it has a lot of the stresses that go along with embarkation day, but you're not getting on a cruise. You're just getting on an airplane and heading home or something like that. It can be a challenging day, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, it's a very different kind of stress because it's a different vibe. Like
Right.
you are getting on that ship, everybody is ready, and every cast member is greeting you, and like it's so exciting. That getting off the ship, it's a lot different. It is everybody's exhausted. Like everybody's sad their vacation is over, but even like the cast members, they are trying to turn over the ship. And so they want you out of that room. They do not want to sit and talk. Like they're like, bye. Like, don't let the door hit you on your way out. Like, we got stuff to do. So I know that we will get into it as we get through the show, but I do think it is very interesting. Like Chris and I have very opposite deportation routines. We are very opposite in how we handle that day. So we'll kind of talk about it as we go through.
Well, and let's start off by talking about the process, because the process actually starts the day before, and you'll start getting like things for gratuities and all sorts of those kinds of. You'll start getting these messages about what you need to do for that final day. There are essentially you're going to clear customs. You're going to wake up. They're going to and you can just there is a flow, as Elaine said. There's a flow, kind of almost like the current is pushing you out the ship. And so you're going to be in port generally pretty early. So luggage, there are 2 luggage items. If you have check bags, you can leave those outside your stateroom the night before. It's usually about by 10 o'clock, and then they will have them out in the terminal for you to pick up. The other option is express walk off, and that's keeping your luggage with you. You can get off if particularly if you have an early flight, you may want to do that because you want to be quite efficient getting off. Elaine, what 2 choices? What do you choose?
So, as far as the luggage itself goes, I've made no secret on this podcast that I am very high maintenance and I like my stuff, and I travel very heavy. Usually, with a cruise, I have 2 suitcases plus a backpack. If I am organized enough to not only pack the night before, but to put everything that I won't need in one suitcase, then I will put that outside the door. But 99% of the time, that does not happen. I am usually leaving that ship with my suitcases, pushing them off myself. If you are not that kind of person and you can just put what you need in your backpack for the day, then do it, because so many people are trying to get off that ship at the same time. The elevators clogged. So many people will take the stairs because it's a lot faster. But if you've got your luggage trying to go down the stairs, it can be difficult, especially if you've got 3 kids behind you and they all have their luggage as well. So if you can't do all of it, do as much as you can, put it at that door. That way they can take it. As well, if you do get all that stuff at the door and they take your luggage, make sure you have a change of clothes for the next day, because
Right.
you're putting this out the night before. So we see a lot of people getting off the ship with their pajamas on. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then as far as express walk off, I have done that once before.
Oh, really?
And it was very, very, very easy because you were not waiting in any sort of line. Like, you just walked off the ship. It was very fast. I know a lot of Florida locals will do that because they drove to the port. And so
Right.
they can express walk off, throw their luggage in, get home. So I know a lot of people do like to do that. But if I'm flying out of MCO, my flight is probably not till 1 anyway, so I got plenty of time to kill. I'm not in any hurry to get off the ship. So
And that's often one of the things that I suggest to folks is if you aren't in a rush, don't rush. There's no, just take your time. I actually have a cruise coming up in a couple weeks for Thanksgiving, and they shifted our flights earlier. So I'm going to have to I'm a nervous person when I'm on these days. So we're going to think about how we do it. But a couple of things that you absolutely want to remember when you are packing that night before, if you're going to pack the night before. Do not pack your travel documents, your passports, your birth certificate. You are going to need those when you go through customs, and you don't want to lose them. Keep them with you. Elaine mentioned change of clothes. Keep a change of clothes. I keep my DOP kit with me, and then I rearrange it when I get to the airport and put it in my main bag. But I want to be able to shower before I get off. And your Key to the World card or your Magic Disney Band Plus. You're going to need. Everybody needs those to get off the ship. So those are your key things you want to keep with you before you pack, when you're packing up, and make sure you have them that morning. And Elaine, they will offer breakfast the next morning. You again have options. You can either go up to the to Cabanas or to Marceline Market to the buffet, and they'll have a light breakfast there. Or you can go down to wherever you had dinner the night before. You're going to go to that same location. Again, this is a very trimmed down breakfast. This is not there. The motion is getting you off the ship. So it's going to be eggs or a very trimmed down. But they will give you that. If you're on early dining, you're going to be up early. It's before 7 o'clock that your breakfast time starts. And then if you're second dining, it will be a little bit later than that. So just be aware of that. Elaine, what do you do? Do you do breakfast on that debarkation morning?
I do not. I am usually packing on that morning because the night before, I am usually trying to do all of the things, and enjoy my last night on the ship, and getting back to the room at 11 or midnight, the last thing I want to do is sit there and pack. So I'm like, I'll do it in the morning. So I am spending that morning packing and eating whatever scraps of leftover room service happen to be floating around the room. I really like, I order a lot of croissants, fruits,
Yep.
cereal, that kind of thing from room service in the mornings. Even if I'm going to go down to Cabanas later, I like to just have it in the room. So there's usually something that I've kind of planned ahead and kept aside, so I've got something to eat. And that's usually what I do until I get to the airport. And then the airport will serve me well. The airport food will serve me well.
And I've heard of parents who do that with their kids. They'll have like they'll take a box of cereal from the day before and have that with them, a little thing of milk, and keep it in the fridge just so they have something, so they don't really have to worry about it. So there are other options if you want to deal with that stuff. But
Plan ahead. You cannot order room service
correct.
in the morning. So you do have to plan ahead and do it by, I think room service closes kind of early on the last night. So I would do it, by like that afternoon. So
the other thing you want to do, and do this the night before, is go through your folio. It'll be on your Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. And you just go click through and you'll see where it is. But go through that. And if there are any issues, you can deal with those with guest services. I tend to do it fairly early on the day before, because that last night, the line for guest services is going to be it's going to be long. People dealing with gratuities, people dealing with issues, all this stuff. So, this is where your theme park all comes out, right? You do it as early as you can. So you're not stuck waiting in a big, long line. So definitely take a look at that before you get on board. And anything else that you want to think about that day, that night before and morning of?
I think we've pretty much said that. Like you said, you kind of want to have all of your stuff organized. When you're getting off the ship, you are going to be going through customs, so you do want your passport in your hand for everybody in the family, that kind of thing. So make sure that you've got all of that. You know where it is. You might have declaration forms that you need to fill out if you've made any purchases of like jewelry or alcohol or anything like that while you've been in any of the ports. And then, if things happen. If for whatever reason your bill does not settle out with whatever card that you have on file, they will contact you. Usually through the app, they'll send you just like a text notification asking you to come down to guest services so that you can get all of that settled up. A lot of people like to bring Disney gift cards, but they wait until that last night before they go down to the port and like pay off their bill, or go down to the desk and pay off their bill. Do that, as he said, do that early in your cruise. Go on like the second night and just throw all your gift cards on there. That way they're good. And so, anything that you can do ahead of time, go ahead and do it. Read all of these texts they're sending you in the app. They've kind of started getting away from leaving the paper notes in the room that kind of tell you everything, and it's all in the app now. So.
And I keep one of these folders that I keep my passports in there. And I have one for each trip that I go on. But keep something like that so you can keep everything together and have it all manageable. On that morning, after you're eating breakfast, you're going to hear announcements that go shipwide. They're also going to give you, by the way, the night before, they're going to give you different name tags. There are different colors, and they also have different characters. So there's Captain Minnie, Captain Mickey, Tinkerbell, and you're going to hear announcements as they release those. They do that just so it doesn't get slammed out in the terminal. And so they only have so much space out there. They don't want everybody, just like Embarkation, they don't want everybody all at once. They don't want everybody getting off the ship at once. So they'll make different announcements. And you will have to go through customs if you have a passport these days and you're going through a U.S. port. So the Florida ports or somewhere in the U.S., it's actually pretty efficient these days. They're using facial recognition. You walk up, you stand there, it scans you, and then you're pretty much done. Elaine, it's really speeded up. That those used to be huge lines, and you sometimes would wait half an hour or so. It's pretty efficient now, I think.
Yes, I have waited. I will be honest. I've waited 2 hours in that line before at
Yeah.
Port Canal.
Oof.
I mean, there are some very long lines because it used to be they would sit and talk to you. I remember my very first cruise. I was nervous about this, my very first cruise, and my kids were young and that kind of thing. And we got up to the customs agent, and he's looking at our stuff, and he said, "Did you make any purchases?" And I said, "Well, I bought Mickey ears and a plastic sword," because I didn't know if I was gonna get taxed on that or if I
Right.
needed to claim that, and I was very scared. So,
Yeah.
but it's all of that is kind of pretty much gone now as they are just doing this recognition, system, so it is a lot faster.
You mentioned customs declarations. One of the things that if you buy particularly jewelry on board, so you may have bought, and in fact, I was just talking to a client yesterday. They bought a diamond ring. It was an anniversary, and so they bought a diamond ring, and Disney is going to let customs know. And so you're going to have to pay customs on that. And what ends up happening, they got pulled aside and got taken to a room. And you talk about being afraid. They were like, "Oh my goodness, what have we done wrong?" And they'll take care of it. It's normal. It's a very, they'll calculate it out. It's usually the duty on that is not, it's not outrageous amount. So it's all they know. And so just you can talk to the folks on board about what you need to know, but also the customs officers are going to be there, and it's just be prepared that that's going to happen. And Disney has shared that information, and so you just need to be prepared for that. Transportation. Let's talk transportation because there are, again, multiple options here. One, of course, is Disney Cruise Line transportation. If Disney Cruise Line transportation in Port Canaveral will take you either to Orlando International Airport, or will take you, if you're going to the Walt Disney World Resort. They only have a few number of buses that go back to Disney World. So if you are going back to the Walt Disney World Resort, be sure you find out what time that bus leaves, so you don't miss the bus. I don't want you to miss the bus. If you're going to the Orlando International Airport, MCO, there's buses going all the time. Some people don't like taking that because they will wait until the bus is full before it takes off. And some people say, "I don't want to wait for that." And so they will arrange their own transportation. I always use it because it was super easy. And in fact, it used to be that when you put your bags out the night before, they would transport them to the airport. So you didn't have to see your bags until you got back to where you were. Oh, that was a delightful thing. I hope they bring that back at some point. But there's also private transportations. There's parking lot at most of the terminals, so you can park. Elaine, you usually fly as well. Do you usually take Disney transportation or arrange something else?
So I have done both. And it depends where I'm flying out of and that kind of thing. But pretty much, I don't think I have ever done a cruise that I've gone back to Disney World before. When we both when I've done both times I've done Alaska, we stayed an extra night before flying home. But
Awesome.
from MCO, I have always gone straight to the airport, and I have done every way possible. I have done the Disney buses, I have rented a car, I have done Uber, and I've done private transfers. So it all works, and
Yeah.
it all can be done. So it's just kind of how your family prefers it. So
And we're going to help you. We can help you through those options. There are rental cars that are rental car agencies that are right near the port, and they provide transportation. So if you want to rent a car and you're going to spend some additional time in or around Florida, you can rent a car and deal with that. So go and get the car, and somebody comes back and picks up the bags, or you can figure that out. It's all possible. I've helped clients do all the different ways. So we're very, very prepared and happy to help you with that. Elaine, one of the questions that we always get asked is, what is the safe time for me to book a flight? I'm reluctant to give a specific time here because it really will depend on which port you're coming into. So
Got
it
it.
changes. But what time? Generally, what do you tell folks about? We're going to give them information, right?
Yeah, so on Disney Cruise Line's website, they will actually tell you as far as what port you are at. They will say, very strongly worded, essentially saying, don't book your flight before this time. For Port Canaveral, I think it's 12:30. It's either 12:30. I think it's 12:30 or 1. I think it's 12:30. So um, please do that. I cannot tell you how many times we see people post in our Facebook group, DCL Fan, where they say, I booked a 9:30 flight. I'm not going to have any problems, am I? Do you think I can make it? Okay, just don't. Please just don't.
Yeah.
We
And
I
and
have back when we were talking about our de-embarkation from the fantasy that we went on a couple of months ago. I
yeah.
told you about this saga that I went through to get off the ship, took Disney transfers, and to get to the airport, and I barely made it on my 1 o'clock flight.
Yeah.
So things can happen. It's an hour away, and there are wrecks, and there are traffic, and there are breakdowns, and we sat there for half an hour because there was no parking spot for the bus. They were all full. We had to sit there for that. I mean, you just don't know. And plus, MCO is so busy. You're going to be waiting in security lines. Even if you have TrioSA pre-check, you're going to be waiting in line. So don't just 1 o'clock. I say 1 o'clock if you're flying at NCO, and that is from somebody that really likes to push the limit on things and how late they can be there. So if I'm saying 1 o'clock, then yeah.
There also can be delays for getting into port. Some ports have, like, if there's fog, it may delay them from getting into port. You're dependent on. So the Disney really tries to give you some indication as to what's a safe time to do. You may be able to get to the port earlier. At least for me, I don't want to have to deal with the May and then missing my flight and having to deal with that fiasco. So again, we will share the different times for the different ports. All of them are different. Like if you're leaving out of Rome airport, it's very different time. And also the European cruises tend to work in a little bit of time frame, so they come in a little bit later. It's a period to get into the airport. It's actually fairly early if you're flying out of Fort Lauderdale Airport, because the port is so close to the airport. So I think it's 11:30 or something like that. But we're going to let you know, and it's available on Disney Cruise Line's website. So just check. Definitely make sure you check. And even if you're one of those people who likes pushing the boundaries, just be aware of it and be careful.
And it does. I mean, the delay from just the ship in, I think it happens a lot more than people would think, because there are so many times that they just either they're late getting into port, or the whole, they have to, what is it called, where they
Clear
get
customs.
approved.
Yeah.
The inspection and everything like that gets delayed or whatever, but there are a lot of reasons for delays. And I know that when our Dreams agent, Mike Finucci, when he did Alaska, I mean, I don't think they got off the ship till after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because there was some kind of delay going on when they were just sitting there and they were just stuck on the ship. So it's like, it's going to ruin your day if you miss your flight. So just take the hit and book it a little bit later. I mean, just do it. So
there are also a bunch of things that you can do. You may have heard that Orlando is kind of there's a lot that goes on in Orlando. So there are a bunch of things you can do if you get like a 6 o'clock flight. In fact, Jackie Gailey wrote a story on her last cruise. In fact, the one we did in March on the Disney Fantasy, she got a half-day rate at the Hyatt Regency at the airport. and she has a piece on DCL Fan about this. But it was a great time for her to just relax. She got to take a shower. They have a pool there. They have a nice restaurant. So if you want to do that, there's the Kennedy Space Flight Center. You can visit that for the day if you want. There's a bunch of stuff to do, even outside of going to a theme park for the day. You can go to Disney Springs. You could go up to Universal City Walk. There are a bunch of things that you can do if you have a bunch of time. And you don't want to hang around in the airport for a bunch of time. So again, we can talk through those things with you. And coming up, we're going to start doing little profiles of the different ports and give you a sense of what they're like, how easy it is to get in and out of. We'll also tell you at least what the Disney recommended departure flight times are. So we're going to go through port. We'll start with Port Canaveral, of course, and then do Fort Lauderdale. And we'll give you a little profile of those. Elaine, I wanted to touch on, do you have any traditions that you do, like in those last days? One of the ones that we do is they've added this kind of good night on the last night of the cruise, where all the characters will be out and you get kind of your last chance to say goodbye to all the characters. And even though I think it's like 10 o'clock or something on that last night, it's just really, really well done. I don't miss it anymore. Do you do anything special at the end of a cruise?
I mean, besides traditionally being like grumpy and bloated, I mean, that's that's every single time.
Yeah.
I don't, because every time I cruise, I'm traveling with a different coworker or partner or my kids, or it's not like I'm traveling with somebody different every single time. We're doing different things every time. It's different ships. I may be working, it may be personal. I have no tradition other than I do, usually that night before I try to, if there's anything we haven't done, I try to get it done. And so, yeah, I just try to really before as much as I can.
One of the other things that I always do is get a photo. I like getting a selfie with my wait staff because they've taken care of us and you get to know these folks really, really well. So I always get a selfie with them and the family and everybody. So we have all these photos. I love them. The other thing that we always do is we get a picture as we're leaving the ship. We get a picture in front of the whatever statue happens to be in the main atrium or the Great Hall. And it's funny, one of the Adventures by Disney guides put we used to do it kind of just as a photo, but he offered, like, when he was a Disneyland resident and go to Disneyland a lot, and he said he would always stop where the train tracks come together and just take a moment to appreciate the trip and have a little gratitude. They say that's great for your health, but also think about something that made this trip special or unique, and just be in that space, even with all the clutter going on. Being in that space and enjoying that moment, and so as Mickey would say, see you real soon. Hopefully come back. Two other things that I really wanted to mention were placeholder reservations. If you're going to, Elaine, explain what placeholder reservations are. You need to do it before you get off the ship. So explain what a placeholder reservation is.
So a placeholder is you will pay $250 and it's going to give you a placeholder reservation. You used to be able to actually book your next cruise on board. If you already know, we want to go on this ship on this date, you could go ahead and you could book that on board, and they would give you 10% off the fares as long as it's not concierge. Now they won't do that. They will only do this placeholder. So you are essentially just booking a reservation number. That's it. You're paying $250. Then you must sail within 2 years of that date, and you will get 10% off the fares. And that $250 will go towards your deposit. And if it's over a 7-night cruise, you'll have a reduced deposit. It'll be 5% instead of 10%. Now, if you are sailing concierge, you do not get the 10% off concierge. However, they do give you a $100 shipboard credit. But if you are a Dreams Unlimited travel client, don't do it, because we give you a shipboard credit, and because we are not able, we give a reduced shipboard credit for placeholder reservations. You're actually going to come out way ahead if you don't use the placeholder for concierge, because we are going to give you a much bigger shipboard credit than if you take that $100 in our reduced credit and add it together. It's a lot of math. Just trust me. Don't use a placeholder if you are booking through Dreams Unlimited Travel for concierge. And if you decide at any time that you aren't going to use that placeholder, you can cancel it. They will refund you back to your original form of payment. If you forget you even have it and 2 years later it times out, it will auto cancel and it will auto refund you. That there's nothing that you need to do. So if you happen to book a placeholder and you're not a client of Dreams Unlimited Travel, and you would like us to handle that booking for you, you must transfer that placeholder to us within 30 days of purchasing it. After that, we cannot do a transfer, and we are not able to book it for you. So,
and that is not just true of Dreams. It's Disney Cruise Line's rules, and it's true of any travel agency. So it can't. It's the rules, and we got to play by them. So that your placeholder, you purchase a reservation that day, starts at 30 days. So, and we can help you with that process, but just be aware of that. As Elaine, I just want to make sure Elaine said it, but just to make sure, there is no discount on concierge staterooms. So you don't get a placeholder discount on concierge staterooms. So just be aware of that. And one other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to make note of, you can do it. I just wanted to say, you can do it right via your Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. If you are a Dreams client, you can just say, "Hey, I want to work with the same agency," and then we get a notification. We should get a notification. I always ask folks, "Hey, send it along in case a Disney technology not working. I know it never happens, but there's a chance that it might not. So just in case it doesn't work, that way I know that it's out there and can get all the background work done." The one last area I wanted to touch on is we talked about all the logistics for adults, but if you're going with kids, this can also be a stressful day for kids because they have to get it. They're up early. They're a lot of moving pieces. My general recommendation is explain to them the day before what's going to happen, so they're aware, so they have some awareness that, hey, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. There's thousands of people getting off the ship. There's a whole bunch of people waiting to get on board, and so it may seem a little bit harried, but we're going to get through this. And then one of the ways that I always dealt with stress was make sure they have full bellies. You don't want to layer all the stress stuff on top of being a little hangry. So make sure they have something to eat. We mentioned having cereal maybe in your room or something. And we're with, like Elaine, we kind of munch on something, but then we say we have a breakfast when we get to the airport. So Elaine, any other tips that you offer folks for if they have kids?
My tips are kind of the same every situation with kids. Just keep throwing food at them, and they're usually pretty happy. If you are the last resort is an iPad, pull out the iPad, because
Right.
you might be sitting in that line for a long time when you're getting off the ship. If you know that that's going to be a difficult day for your child, arrange transportation that is not the Disney bus, do the express walk off, and then say, "Hey, we are going to get up really early and we're going to get off the ship right away, but we're going to go to McDonald's on the way to the airport." And I bet you that will win them over. So think about it ahead of time. What can your kid handle? And if they are cool and they can go along with it, great. Then, have breakfast, get off the ship with everybody, great. If your kid can't handle that, and think about this, they have been on this ship for a long time. They are tired. They have ate a lot of junk. They might not be feeling well. So really just take inventory of your child and what their situation and mood and all of that is right now, and think, what can I do to make this as frictionless as possible. So
and breathe into it. And I sometimes find that there's more people trying to get off immediately.
right.
We're all in a hurry to get to our next thing. And so
Yeah.
sometimes just lay back a little bit and kind of go with the flow, and you'll sense a time when, like, okay, most people, the rush is over to be out the first one off the ship. And then find your little window.
Yeah.
One of the nice
Just
things about,
just because
no,
they
go.
call your Tinkerbell green luggage tag, that doesn't mean you have to get off the ship that minute.
Right.
You will usually just hang out. I will hang out in the room until they kick me out. It's usually between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. It's when they're like, "You gone yet?" Um, and so I will just hang out there. If I go downstairs and I see that there's a long line, I'll find a lounge to sit in and just hang out there, because I would rather just hang back and let everybody else get off the ship and then get on which is my exact same philosophy for getting on the ship too. I don't need to be the first one on. It is not going to make a bit of difference. That half an hour is not going to make any difference. So I would rather just sit back, let everybody else go, and then I can just walk right on. So
Yeah, it's very nice. And realize that you're going to get, if you bought a photo package, you're going to get your photo package. They do them online now. You used to have to pick up a USB. In fact, I have one right here. They used to give you a USB that you had to get on that last day. It was now they're going to be online just the way they are at Disney World or any other place. So those will be available to you. Things like that. You can also, you'll get if you didn't download a copy of your folio, that's going to be available to you online 24 hours after. So you can get that. A lot of the things that you used to have to do on that last day, you don't necessarily have to do right away. So it's made the process a lot more a lot easier. If you are lucky enough to be sailing concierge, realize the concierge hosts are going to be essentially escorting you off the ship. They will take you. They have this magic key that the elevator bypasses all the floors, and they take you right down, and then they see you off the ship, and it's a lovely experience. So if you happen to be, it's one of the perks that goes along with cruising concierge. So it's very, very nice. But you will get there. Just breathe deep. As I say, kind of go with the flow and plan and have some knowledge. So all great. Anything else we want to talk about, Elaine?
I have two little random tidbits.
Awesome.
When you are getting to that door that you are getting ready to step foot off the ship, there will be a person sitting there with an iPad. They're going to scan your key to the word card or your magic
Disney
band.
Band Plus.
And
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Man, whatever. If you do not have every single person that was in your stateroom with you at that moment, they are going to stop you. I had that instance on our last sailing. I was rooming with Jackie Gailey, and she was in the dining room, I believe, eating breakfast with you, because she was not with me. And so I said, they said, "Well, where's Jackie?" And I said, "She's eating breakfast in the dining room." And they were kind of hesitant about allowing me to get off the ship without Jackie. And I said, "We are coworkers. We live on opposite sides of the country together. We're not traveling together. She's at breakfast. I need to get off the ship because I need to get on my flight." But just know that you need to have, especially if you've split your family into multiple staterooms. I talked about this on Disembarkation show, that your stateroom is your family unit, which may be different than your actual at-home family unit if you've got multiple staterooms going on. So you need to put your stateroom units together as you're scanning to get off of the ship, because they want to account for where everybody is. Additionally, the other note is about confiscated items. If you had something taken away from you when you got on board the ship, extension cords, fans, kettle warmers, whatever, your Dyson hair wrap, all of that stuff.
A
Anything that was,
drone.
yeah, all of that, and whatever countless of other things that we won't mention. If any of that was taken away from you, they are going to have it tagged, and they are going to have it just laying out on a table off to the side when you get off the ship. So you need to kind of be watching for it so that you can claim your item and get it back.
The
It's
same is
kind of
true if you bought hard alcohol.
Yeah, it's kind of a free for all, so you really kind of hope that whatever you had confiscated was still there. So yeah.
The same is true if you bought hard alcohol. If you bought it at one of the ports, they don't allow you to bring that on board. They will hold that for you. There's a place, and it'll say in the app where you can go pick that up. But there'll be a place where you can go pick that up and make sure you have that stuff with you. So, yeah, good point. I just wanted to on the point about all leaving together as a group. You can change that because particularly if like a kid is with a grandparent or something, you just need to do that with guest services before. Don't save it till that morning of. And you've probably done that anyway because you may not have gotten off the ship altogether other times. So just make sure you've dealt with that before you actually get off the ship, and it will make it a lot smoother. So. Well, with that, we're going to bring this ship ashore. As I always mention, we'd love to have you book with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Literally, it helps us pay for what we do here. And I'll tell you, I was a Dreams client before I was a Dreams agent, so I see the value. The best place to start: DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. You'll see a big Disney cruise. Click on the cruise button. On the first page, it will ask your itinerary and what cruise date. On the second page, at the very top, there's a list of a pull down menu with all the Dreams agents. You can select one, or you don't have to. Select Elaine. You can select me. If you select any of them, all of them are awesome. That's the best way to reach Elaine. But Elaine, if somebody wants to email you, how do they do that?
My email is Elaine, ELAINE at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. If you have questions about stuff, but like if you are wanting to get a quote, the fastest way is to go straight to the website and fill out the request and just tag me in it.
And if you are reaching out to me, Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Yes, there's a Chris, so it's Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel. I also have social media. You can find me at Yensid Travel on many social media platforms. Yensid is Disney spelled backwards, and it's also the sorcerer in the Fantasia Sorcerer's Apprentice there, your Disney trivia. Go impress your friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Special thanks to our producer, Jimmy Valdez. As always, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Depending on where you're watching or listening to this, please like, subscribe, leave a review. It really does help us. There are these things called algorithms out there. They do magical things, but it really helps. So we really appreciate that. And if you have topics for us, you can leave those in the YouTube comments or on the DCL Fan Facebook page. Elaine mentioned it. Whole bunch of Disney people talking about Disney Cruise. It's pretty cool. You can always send me a message, Chris V at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. With that, we hope you get off the ship safely. I know they do this all the time, so you'll be fine. Just breathe. Safe travels, and we'll see you real soon.